Margaret Kuhlman of Soul Astrology. There are two patterns in this chart, two triangles. The Sun, Moon and Mercury together in the middle of Sagittarius, with a trine to Chiron in Aries, both sextile Saturn in Aquarius. Very fire and air. And Mars in Scorpio, trine Neptune, both of them sextile to Venus and Pluto in Capricorn. And these two patterns are at loggerheads with each other, in that Sun, Moon and Mercury are square to Neptune. So perhaps we get a lot of idealism this month. Maybe idealism that is not possible to manifest, but perhaps not accepting that, not seeing why. And the practical, the physical side, may be rejecting the ideals as being impossible or misplaced. With Mars in Scorpio, that could be a bit of a battle. But the presence of Neptune can often soften things, render them more pliable, more accepting. The sensitivity on the emotional level, the psychic level, spiritual level. The sweeter side of this connection is indicated by Venus's involvement. So close to Pluto, it's a vital ingredient. Personally, it's going to involve our relationships. We're all likely to be very aware of changes due, if not actually happening. The reasons for these changes, we will find, have been there for a long time, but only recently surfacing. And we can react in many ways. Often the reaction is to grip on and fight, to try to make things the way we think they should be, to shame the other. But that trine to Neptune suggests to me that we're more likely to find ourselves sensitive to how the other person is feeling. Venus retrogrades every 2 years, and this new moon is very close to her retrograding this year. So by the full moon, just the day before the full moon, having passed Pluto, she retrogrades past him again. So we could say that she's actually conjunct Pluto this whole month. She will retrograde until late January, move forward again, still through Capricorn, and go over Pluto one last time in the first few days of March before entering Aquarius. Which means we've got a long period of time to examine what needs changing at a very deep level. My thought is that the circumstances that have been underlying rise to be seen, and the process of melting down and rebuilding won't be complete until March. So the suggestion is not to decide anything final. Give a bit of time. And during this period, it's quite possible that all our relationships will be going through something along these lines. So there could be quite a feeling of turbulence in how we experience those who are nearest to us, those who we care for most. Now, if it's true for individuals, it's going to be true for the world and true for humanity as a whole. So it's about how we relate to anything. And Venus is questioning us about what we value, what we would say that we love, but on a more open general level. What do we value? And the questions go deep. And it is about transformation. Whatever is in the chrysalis will be making its changes, and we won't have a clue really as to what it is until it comes out. The butterfly or moth or insect, whatever it is, comes out of the chrysalis. Now the Sun, Moon and Mercury in Sagittarius are not likely to want to go delving deep unless we can find in ourselves the spirit of adventure for the exploration of deep tunnels. Generally speaking, Sagittarius searches for the truth by going up, get a bigger view, see further. With Mercury right there by the Sun and Moon, this is where our thoughts are more likely to be this month. Explore the possibilities. Let's do it different. Let's try something finer. Let's try a new way. Experiment. And the experimentation is likely to be around how Chiron and Saturn are getting on in the world. Saturn in Aquarius being very much about how humanity is organised, organising itself or being organised. Who has the control? And what Chiron has to say about that from Aries. Chiron is retrograde for the first half of the month, but turns just around the full moon and starts to go forwards again. So the first half, we're likely to be reconsidering the unfairness, the injustice of the past to individuals. Whereas the second half, perhaps there is more of an emphasis on implementing ways that might heal those old wounds. So the old methods, the methods previously used to deal with difficulties happen in the first half and then maybe are lifted from the full moon. On the 13th of December, Mars moves into Sagittarius himself, so that Sagittarian emphasis that we begin with could easily be turning to the party side of Sagittarius, the light-hearted. Let's have fun in spite of circumstances. And it's important to realise how very valuable it is to be light-hearted. Light has so many meanings. There's light in weight. There's light in terms of shadow and darkness. And there's what I like to write as with a capital L, the light of spirit, which shines and enables clarity of vision. So it's the light of truth, the light of openness, the light that enables joy, the light that leads us in the direction of our finest, brightest possibilities, growing us into the oneness that we understand we are, but maybe don't experience, apart from hopefully brief moments in meditation or sharing activities or helping the suffering. There used to be a phrase, "There but for the grace of God go I," and whatever we think of the phrase, the grace of God, we can still say, "There go I, except that I am here." through no great virtue of my own. There's still a sense of separation with that phrase, as though if we were there we would not be able to be here. But in truth, we are all of it. We are there and here. And this is where Sagittarius aims: to fill the sky, to expand in all directions, to find what it is to be whole, and certainly to explore wherever there is an opening. Sagittarius is such fun, as long as you have no fear. And because of the constant and joyous expansion, if you fear in any part of yourself, Sagittarius is liable to find it out. The solution to this apparently callous partying in the face of suffering is through the Quincunx. The Quincunx to Uranus from Sun and Moon. Uranus is still squaring Saturn, but it shows that one solution to the difficulties is to pull the light through from Sagittarius, to reach into the earth, to enjoy life for its own sake, and not for what we get from it, not for what it appears to give us superficially. To enjoy just having life flow through our system, the system that would be dead without it. The theme of the Quincunx is taken through into the full moon, with the moon absolutely quincunxing Venus. Venus about to turn back towards Pluto, so the fundamental shifts in relationship happening. And it's through communication, the last degrees of Gemini. And that communication, if we link the trine to Jupiter, who is of course sextiling the Sun, being opposite to the Moon, fairness, generosity, absolute openness, the positive future possibilities, speaking about them, and reworking those relationships, those values, seeing how the businesses can be run in a way that fits the needs of humanity at this time, that can be applied to the changes that the earth is going through. The Quincunx is a line of service, spirit serving spirit. The whole human picture at the moment is still about sharing the ideas and ideals and possibilities from the South Node, and with Mars there's a lot of energy for doing that, and sharing it through communicating about all the different ways that things might be applied with the North Node in Gemini. And it's almost time for those nodes to move slowly back into the next sign behind. Soon enough, mid-January, the North Node will be in Taurus and will be focused more on the practicalities of delivering the food where it's necessary and growing the appropriate food for the soil in particular areas. The nodes will only be in Taurus for a year and a half as they move around, and this is the last bit of us talking about things before actually doing something. Jupiter, by its supportive, positive energy, tends to remove fear, and therefore there is a tendency to acting without it. We express more of what's potential. we get to see how we might be in the future before the fear kicks back in. So the last couple of weeks of this year could be very forward-looking, bringing the Aquarian ideals into our lives in a way that makes them more real and less just like guiding stars. Whatever the results of the month might be, let's go forward to enjoy them. Let's keep checking what we value most and living in a way that supports that in our lives. There is love, always love. There is always beauty when you look for it. There is joy, spreading deep and warm from your heart. Flowers bloom silently. Leaves are quiet wind chimes in the breeze. Listen to the silence of life continuously unfolding. Be there in that moment, that point of birth, between breathing out and breathing in. Be there, reborn in the silent moment, a flower of deep beauty and fragrance to bless the world with your smiling eyes, and speak of love silently. It is enough to give birth to that flower